Today, we'll be talking about 7 negotiating tactics, mostly for real estate. You can use this for business and in life. So let's get started. Cool. So if you guys don't know me, Patrick J. Hilario, your president and principal at Alliance Real Estate. Usually I do these Tuesday calls for my private real estate students. Sometimes I like to open this up, kind of give you guys a taste of how we do the group coaching calls. For everyone in the mentorship program, not only do you guys get these group coaching calls, but you also get the one-on-one calls. Usually it's like 1 year access to myself, and it's also a lifetime access into the Alliance group calls and Alliance Real Estate private group. That being said, ton of value in not only the lifetime access, but also you get the one-on-one access with either myself or any of the other coaches there. Okay, the past few weeks in this group, we've been actually talking about different ways and frameworks to negotiations. And today we're just going over some tactics that you could use or that could be used against you. This comes from the book written by Stefan Arnio, rest in peace. And he was the one that kind of taught me negotiations along with my own mentor, Nelson Camp. And part of what we learned in negotiation is that not only are there moves like tactics, but there's also counter tactics, right? If someone does this, how can we counter that? And some of these tactics, like I don't necessarily use. I always make the comparison to the 48 Laws of Power. Great book. However, some of those tactics, depending on your ethics and your morals, maybe you don't want to use. That being said, we want to understand that not everyone is going to play by the rules and is going to play within certain bounds of ethics. So it is important that we know that other people can use more non-ethical negotiating tactics against us. And if we don't know how to counter that, that can create some problems for us as well, right? So a big piece of what I'm going to be showing you guys today is not just the tactic. I'm going to be sharing some stories, some insights on how this tactic can be used, but also very important is the counter move to when someone uses these tactics. So we're also on Instagram Live. Thanks for everyone jumping on there. And again, if you guys have questions, comments, critiques, or concerns, whether you're in the live Zoom call, whether you're in our private Facebook group watching this training, or if you're watching on Instagram Live, put a comment, put a question in there, but let's jump right into it. So with negotiating, the first law we'll be looking at today is that the fear of loss is greater than the loss or the fear of gain or the excitement of gain, I should say. So what this means is that when we have the possibility of losing something, we actually feel more of that fear, more of that pain than actually gaining something else. The tactic here is going to be called walkaway power. We'll talk about that shortly. And Nintendo even has the quote where they say, anything not saved will be lost, right? This is back when we had those Nintendo cartridges, right? You wanted to actually save your game. But the idea is that with human nature, we always want to move away from pain, but we also want to move towards gain. Now, a lot of people use both, right? I know Jordan Peterson talks about this in that you want something moving you away from pain. You want to define your hell, but you also want to define your heaven. So you have somewhere to move towards. Now, human nature is inherently fearful, lazy, and greedy, right? For us, people that want to be entrepreneurs, want to be investors, want to get to the next level, be high performers, we want to transcend that so that we can become better, but we also want to allow others to keep the human nature. We accept that, right? Nothing wrong with that. So human nature actually wants us that we want to save time, we want to save energy, and we want to save money and avoid pain to survive. And this is where it becomes powerful in that we can actually motivate others by scarcity. Not everyone is operating at a self-actualized state. Therefore, most people will actually be motivated by scarcity and fear of loss more than they are with actually reaching their full potential. Okay? It's really only the people that are self-actualized that understand that reaching your full potential has these immense gains. Most people just want to avoid pain, right? So there's a story, right? So the story goes, there's an old lady, she saves up all her money all these years and gets the cheapest ticket for a cruise. She brought tuna, she bought rations of like bread, and she actually didn't leave her cabin in her cruise. And she was kind of scared that near the end of the day or end of the cruise, like she wouldn't have enough money, wouldn't have enough food to last her. Right when the cruise is ending, she leaves her cabin for the first time and then notices an abundant buffet. It's filled with lobster, it has shrimp everywhere, unlimited food, and the most decadent food you could find. One of the stewards passes her by and say, "Hey, like, you have access to this buffet. It's part of your ticket. Go on, we're having dinner now." And it's this idea that unlimited abundance is out there, right? People have the money's out there. It's being printed ad infinitum, meaning to infinity. But it's that scarcity mindset that really limits people. Okay. Most people are operating at a scarcity mindset, right? Only about 2.5% are actually self-actualized. The other 97.5% are not. They're functioning from scarcity. It's really a small percentage of people that not only know what they want, but they get what they want. I mean, they have the capacity to work towards that. They understand that it's possible. So the tactic is called walkaway power. So whenever you're negotiating, there's always going to be pressure on both sides of a negotiation. Both sides can use scarcity. Both sides can also be prepared to walk away from the bargaining table. If you can't walk away, you're not necessarily in a position of power, I always say. The more that you need something, the less power you actually have. Right? Again, I'll repeat that. The more that you need something, the less power that you actually have. So if you ever find yourself in a negotiation, whether it's for real estate, for business, for your own personal lives, and you're in a deadlock, you can do a slow walk away towards the car, towards just leaving, right? Something I'll do is whenever I'm doing a slow walk away, I'll just be like, I'll put my hands up and be like, hey, I don't know if this is working. I'll drop my tone a little bit. I'll start stepping back. I put my hands up like this, and I'm just moving away. Like I'm literally and physically walking away. This is a representation of that walkaway power. The counter move, and this requires a little bit more preparation, is you want to have multiple options and multiple open negotiations. So if you're ever trying to find a deal, it's always better that you have multiple options on a deal and you're not just making an offer on one. I try to teach my students this all the time because the moment you're just looking at one deal is you're getting closer to just losing your power, right? You're getting closer to not having those options, not having multiple negotiations open. And now you can't necessarily walk away, or it's just harder to walk away if you don't have multiple options. Same thing whenever you're trying to find a contract for work, right? Back when I was still teaching, before I even got my first contract, where I actually stayed there and taught there for 5 years, I had about 7 open contracts that I was openly negotiating. I knew which one I wanted, like my top 3, but I opened 7 and just kept dragging them along just to make sure that I came from a position of power, right? I came from a place where, hey, I know I'm really good at what I do. I have these options to back it up, and I'm the one that gets to choose, right? Same thing with real estate deals, and you can see how this could be applied to life as well. Second law that we'll be exploring today in negotiating is going to be the law of reciprocity. We've all heard the golden rule.
Hey, if I could ask you a quick favor, if you can go on Amazon and just give me a review on my book, How to Never Be Broke Again, it would mean the world to me. It helps me actually get ahead of the algorithm, present this information to even more people, because I know it can help a lot of people, and you guys have been getting some of that support, getting that help, and thanks so much for everyone who's bought the book. Please give that book a review. It means the world to me. Thank you.
Do unto others how you want others to do unto you. And we also have the other rule, a little bit more karma, where what goes around comes around. It's a general common belief that if we receive a gift, we actually want to give a gift back. We assume as humans that trading is fair. I'm going to repeat that again. We assume as humans that trading is fair. So the ones watching at home, like, do you think that trading or this negotiating, this exchange, do you think it's actually fair? The answer is it's not, right? There's actually 4 levels of human exchange. Okay. First one is going to be abundant exchange. That's where what you give. So you give 1, but you get 5 back. That's an abundant exchange. We all wish we got this exchange. I put $1 in, I get 5 back. There's also fair exchange. This is what's most expected. This is 1-to-1. I give 1, I get back 1. It's a fair exchange. There's the partial exchange, where if you give 1, you're only getting half back. It's not the best, right? Usually we'll kind of want to avoid that, but it's not terrible either. And then finally, you have criminal exchange, in that you put 1 in, but you get nothing out of it. You want to avoid that at all costs. This is a type of exchanges that steal your life, steal your money, steal your hard work, steal your energy. So the idea is that to get more, you actually want to give more. And you see me use this in my own business, right? What am I doing? Okay, I'm giving out free content. I give free gifts, free ebooks, free rental trackers. I give you guys more resources. There's a bunch of free presentations like this. We try to give you better and better education. And I'm also documenting how even I'm spending money to go out to places like Vegas, like Miami, meet with other coaches, and just get better my own education so I can give you guys more, right? That is what I'm trying to create, is an abundant exchange. Okay. I'm trying to give you guys more than what I'm getting out of it. And this idea that I'm trying to basically build off reciprocity, especially when I do this over the long term, right? The goal is to give as much free content as we can. And then the ones that want to get to the next level, that's where they'll essentially sign up for the coaching programs, the mentorship, the one-on-ones, and then they get a little bit more personalized help, because now they've seen, oh, like there's all this valuable free content. What does the paid content look like? And that's where the accountability and the implementation comes to play. It's a lot more specific to each student, essentially. But there are different times for different types of exchange, right? In that you want to kind of measure out how you're giving and how you're exchanging, right? Now you want to avoid the criminal exchanges, because that could ruin your reputation very quickly, right? If you're just out to get for yourself, right? I almost prefer that we always do fair exchange and above, especially when you want to place yourself in a position of power, right? The more the person can give freely and not care about the outcome, the more empowered they have in the negotiation, right? So what's the tactic? The tactic is the trade-off principle and unfair trading. So what this means is, like, whenever the other person, the other party, when you're negotiating, asks for something, you want to give something back. If they ask for something, you ask for something. Okay. So let's say they want to go down in price, right? So we'll do this with flips sometimes. Buyer asks for a discount. We're like, hey, that's cool. We can get your discount, but I'm going to take away some appliances, right? So there's that exchange. Okay. The counter move is, if someone tries to do something like that, you just complain about the trade. You start complaining, like, oh, like that's not fair. You say it's not fair. Oh, you can't do that. And you start pointing out that it's unfair trading. When they give you 5, you give 1. Okay. It doesn't have to be fair exchanges and fair trading, right? This is where we talked about before how you want to know what you're trying to get out of a negotiation. Sometimes negotiation means that you want to get a specific price, you want a specific timeline, and maybe you want certain conditions, right? Maybe you want to be able to make an inspection on a house. Maybe you want satisfactory financing, okay? But whenever someone asks for something, you give 1 and they're going to give you 5 is what you want to shoot for. That's kind of the counter. See if there's questions in the Facebook chat. No, we are good. Awesome, awesome. So the third law I want to share with you guys is you want to exploit prizes and the competitive nature of humanity. Again, you want to exploit prizes and the competitive nature of humanity. You probably hear me say the line every now and then, if you negotiate with me, hey, like, you'll have to do better than that. Right? That's kind of the line. We'll talk about that in a second. But human nature wants to win what is worth working for. Okay, we don't want to win just prizes that aren't worth anything. Okay, this is why that participation trophy, I think, does a lot more damage than good. We want to win if we believe it's worth it, right? How do you do this? Can you make your offer more exclusive? Can you add the need to apply to get access to your offer? Can you make your offer more expensive? You see me do this all the time. I know that real estate coaching is not for everyone. I know that a lot of people say they want to get into real estate, but are not willing to spend the time, spend the energy, spend the money to get into it, right? I always say, like, if it takes longer than 2, 3, 5, even a year of waiting before you actually start learning how you can get into real estate, specifically you, like step by step, personalized to you, then what's the value of your time? Because not getting that deal in a year can be expensive, especially because we don't know, tomorrow's not promised, right? I'll try to make my offers very exclusive. Right now, my goal is to get 100 students. We're at 70 right now that I personally coach, and there's 30 spots left. Right. After that, then kind of reevaluate. Want to make sure everyone kind of hits their goals, gets their first $1,000,000, maybe even their first 100 grand in income, and then I'll kind of open it up again. But that's a big reason why I started the high performance coaching, because there's people at a higher level and want to make sure that, hey, I can help them, but that's a little bit more, even more exclusive, right? So what's the tactic with this law? How do you kind of use that competitive nature of humanity, right? Well, the tactic is when the other person gives an offer, you just say, hey, you'll have to do better than that. Or sometimes I'll be like, you're close, right? You don't want to just accept the first offer, right? Reason for that is you don't want to create what's called buyer's remorse. Buyer's remorse is when someone moves forward with the deal and then they regret it because they're just like, oh, it was too easy, right? People tend to have this assumption that the first deal is not the best. The counter tactic is it to say, you got to do better than that. Then you want to nail down exactly how better. Like, okay, cool. Like, how much better? What do you mean exactly? When the other person is vague, you want to be detailed. When the other person is detailed, you want to be vague. That's the strategy. That's the tactic there. Law number 4 that we'll be exploring today. Humans assume that everything written down is true. This is the power of the book. People believe that if it's in a book, it must be true. If you tell a man that he's a failure, he may actually believe you and then become a failure. If a person reads something and starts believing it, they may actually start to actually embody that belief. There seems to be like this mystical power around a book that when you're reading a book, because we're aware of how difficult it is, how much effort it takes, how long it takes to write, all the research behind a book, we just believe that these books, that the written word is just so much more powerful, right? If you think about it, whenever you're going to, let's say, grocery store even, and you see there's an advertised price, that advertised price is not a fact. It's really an opinion, right? You can ask for discounts. You can ask to get a different price, right? And I try to coach my students this all the time whenever they're looking at deals on public markets, like the MLS. Well, just because the seller has an asking price, I actually don't care about the asking price. I care about the price that it makes sense for me. That's because I know that the written word is not always true. Now, by having this law, it works in my favor, right? Because I'm a published author. I've written the book, How to Never Be Broke Again. Also wrote the book on financial intelligence, 6 Steps of Financial Literacy. And we also have a French book and an English version, which is like a collection of philosophical thought. That's like the first book I wrote. Again, people will put you in an authority position if you have that book or if you have printed materials. If you think about the word author, it has that root of authority, right? So what's the tactic? The tactic is you want to come in with printed documents. Maybe you have a book that represents part of what you're offering. If I'm looking at deals, I'll print out comparables that I can bring to that deal. Be like, hey, this is how much the house is worth. I'll bring in breakdowns and cost estimators so I can show the person how much it's going to cost to renovate this place. I'm just bringing more and more materials because people will believe in the written word. The counter tactic is you want to ask for all the sources and even bring your own materials. You always also want to confirm all the sources that are being presented to you. Right? Just because it's written doesn't mean it's true. Just because it's an advertised price doesn't mean it's true. I'm going to check for questions in here. Cool. Yeah, we are good. So next, law number 5 we'll be exploring today.
Hey, we created a free financial and social confidence program. It's completely free. It's 10 years of knowledge and experience and exercise I've put together to help you become financially confident and socially confident. Because I think financial skills and social skills go hand in hand. So make sure you DM me the word confidence and I'll send you that free course today. Take care.
Is create value through loss. This is the idea of the withdrawn offer. Okay? When we lose something, that's when we see its value. McDonald's is a good example. They have limited time offerings. The reptile brain is always looking for something new. Okay, if you guys study a little bit of the concepts around the reptile brain, the mammalian brain, that reptile brain, that emotional side, it's always looking for something new. Offers with limited time offers do almost way better than offers that are just forever, right? The tactic of the withdrawn offer is you want to let the other person chase you, right? If you have an offer, if you're stuck in a deadlock, you're trying to negotiate and you're like, oh, this person's just kind of going back and forth over like 2-3 grand, just be like, hey, you know what, that's okay. And you start slowly walking away and you withdraw the offer. The counter to that, if someone tries to withdraw the offer, is you want to take the best offer and then walk away and then test their bluff. The key here is you always want to back up. If you're going to walk away from an offer, you better have a backup or else you might regret it. And you might have that, it's not buyer's remorse, it's like missing out, FOMO, right? You might get FOMO. But if you always have a backup, if someone withdraws the offer, you can call their bluff. You can test their bluff. Law number 6 that we'll be exploring today is make them feel like they won. No matter how good or how bad people perform in a negotiation, your job is to make them feel like they won and that they drove a hard bargain. I'll literally tell people, hey, like, I'm losing a little bit of money on this, but you know what? You're a great negotiator and you drive a hard bargain. Did they actually drive a hard bargain? They could. Yes, no, doesn't matter. I'm letting them know that. I'd rather have a deal close than a deal not close, assuming that we're getting close to a win-win situation, right? But even if it's a win-win, you never know if the other person is going to count your money, is what we call it. And I always tell my students, like, don't count the other person's money, okay? Just because your contractor, your realtor makes a ton of money off the deal that you did, don't count their money. As long as you made some money, you did well, that's good for you, right? Good for you, good for them. But we want to make the other person feel like they won to make sure that they don't get buyer's remorse and that we can actually move forward with this. Okay. Something that you can do, the tactic is positioning with small concessions, small little gifts, and save a few small concessions to make them feel like they won at the end. Okay. So this could be at the very last minute, just before you're about to close, you're getting close to that closing aspect, and you basically offer them, hey, if you take this offer right now, you'll get this bonus, right? Some of you guys get access to the bonus weekly accountability email. Okay, that's a 12 to 16 page email that I write to all my financial abundance, my actually the financial abundance students don't get that. High performance students and then also real estate students get that, but it's a bonus, right? If they sign up the day of, awesome, they get that. It's a bonus that I offer. It's a little concession that does actually just help them get into the program so we can start that transformation. The counter move is you want to ignore the easy concessions because sometimes they'll actually be a decoy, and you want to focus on the main concessions. What are you actually trying to get? And focus on that. Cool. And the last and 7th law of negotiation that we will be exploring today is he who writes the rules wins the game. The tactic is you want to be the one that writes the contract. You guys ever played Monopoly? If you guys read the rules, the banker basically can't lose because they can just print more money. You can literally create money from pieces of paper. It's the person who makes the rules almost always has the advantage over people who don't make the rules. The tactic is you want to control and write the documents, the contracts. That way you can control the small details that can be overlooked. The counter move to that is this idea that the pen is mightier than the sword. So if someone controls the documents, they give you a contract. What you do is you pull out a pen and you start scratching out, you start circling, you start highlighting different things that you want to change in the contract. Okay, that's the idea that pen is mightier than the sword. You can actually go in there and change it. A lot of people will think, oh, just because it's written, it has to be true. Well, no, we can make edits, we can change this contract. It's not done till everything's signed, everything's good to go, and we're moving forward. So there's a couple tactics for your negotiating. Again, negotiations is essentially the study of human nature. The more you can understand human nature, not only in yourself, but other people, the better that you'll be at negotiating, right? And negotiating is one of those studies, those subjects that you'll almost never be taught in school. Most likely you don't know a lick of negotiating if you just have gone through basic school, but that's even university. Very rare you actually learn how to negotiate. You will learn a lot of negotiating in your own self-study, maybe doing your own education like programs like this, or even if you go out and just do a job where you're actually negotiating all the time, right? But everything is negotiable. Sometimes I'll even give a challenge. So for you guys here today, you guys get a little bit of challenge, a little bit of the homework that I like to give the students in the Alliance Real Estate Coaching Program there and the high performance students. But this week, try to negotiate almost everything, right? You'd be surprised what you can get away with, right? So example, I was telling the students this last week, whenever I'm going to hotels, whenever I check in, I'm immediately asking, hey, can I get a complimentary late checkout? Hey, can I get complimentary bottles of water? Hey, is there a complimentary upgrade that you guys can give me? And as long as you're giving an excuse or a reasoning, like they might say yes. Like the last time I got a free upgrade, I got in, I was like, hey, is it cool if I get a free upgrade to like a better room? It's been a long day. I almost missed my flight, right? Like almost missing your flight. It's not really the same as actually missing your flight, but just because I gave an excuse, I gave a reasoning, they're like, yeah, no problem. We actually have this room, complimentary upgrade. Thank you so much for your business. I got the free upgrade, right? The answer is always going to be no if you don't ask. And that's the big key. In negotiating, you got to ask. Cool. So hope you guys got some value from this. Any questions, comments, critiques, or concerns, you can put them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself if you want as well. Maybe there's a hand raising option there. But yeah, for the ones that aren't in the Alliance Real Estate Coaching Program, this is the type of stuff what we do every single week. This is the group calls, but also you have access to me, whether that's the bat phone where you can kind of text me at any point, give me a call. You also get the one-on-one calls with myself. Okay, so that's where we really work together one-on-one. I got a few students in here as well. And with those one-on-one calls, that's really where we can dive deep and really personalize your goals, your situation. And when it comes to the whole curriculum, we help you figure out, okay, what's your actual game plan with real estate, whether you're an employee or a business owner, like how do you actually leverage your position right now to get your first deal? Because yes, your income is important. Yes, reducing expenses is key as well. However, there are limitations to how much you can reduce expenses. And even if you make a ton of income, how are you going to keep that with assets that you own? Yeah, I was watching a video with some CPAs here in Canada, and they were essentially talking about how these entrepreneurs, their goal, he suggests, is essentially to own the building that you're leasing. Because once you own that building, yeah, you can sell the business later on for a little bit of a multiplier. But if you sell that building that you own, that could be a way larger multiplier and add to your generational wealth, right? So we help you with that game plan. We also help you with the marketing side, right? Like if you're stuck, you haven't bought deal yet, maybe you have bought some deals, but you don't know how to continue, maybe you're thinking of expanding. We help you figure out what market suits you and make sure that you understand how to analyze the market, how to attract leads and properties that fit your specific goals and situation, because not everyone is going to be in the same situation, right? I coach people that are in university still, they can still close deals. I coach people that are full-time entrepreneurs that have a very difficult time finding financing because they haven't been in business longer than 2 years, or they have been writing off a lot of stuff. We can still help them close deals. And of course, if you're a busy employee, maybe you're working 2 jobs and you're like, hey, this is not going to cut it. Or maybe you're finding that there's just physical pain happening now with your labor job. We still help you figure out, okay, how do we transition out of that? Another big piece we help you guys on is, of course, leverage using maximum efficiency. Not only do we teach you how to leverage money, how to use creative financing, other people's money, attract capital, so you have unlimited access to money buying deals, but we also show you the leverage of using technology, leverage of connecting with other people, using other people's knowledge to show you that, hey, it's not just money leverage that gets you to the next level. Right? It's leverage of skills, people, of resources, and even technology. Another thing we show you is how to get a rapid ROI. This is a rapid ROI system. So you can actually close deals with us as long as you continue working with us. I have some people that I've worked with for years, still help them close deals. I have other people that, hey, they work with me for 90 days, get a deal done. They're like, cool, I'm confident, I can do this. Awesome. And they just keep running with it. Usually they'll come back once they get stuck, because we do help with scaling. And that's that last piece where we want to help you build that indestructible team. Entrepreneurship, investing is not a single player game. It is a team sport. So we really want to help you, get that freedom, get that flexibility so you can actually live the life that you want to live, right? Like the goal is not just to become wealthy, have a business. The goal is that you actually build a business around your life, not just your life to become the business, right? So we help you with scaling, making sure you build a professional team around you that will actually help you get better deals, grow, and get to the next level, right? Because you can't do this alone. You could try, you'll probably get mediocre results. You'll probably wish that you just had a team, you had a mentor, you had people guide you through it. Because a lot of these steps, people have already gone through it. It's just making sure how do we make this fit for you so you can avoid all the mistakes that can be costly. But yeah, if you guys are ever interested, I'll drop a link down below. You guys want to book a free strategy session. For the ones that are already in the program, like you guys already know how this all works. If you guys haven't booked a 101 and you're due for a 101, book a session as well. But I'm going to put this here in the Zoom chat. These are for everyone that hasn't booked. Question, Benny, is that you?
No, I'm good.
No, you're good? Cool.
Yeah.
So put the link there. I know Sri Kant Edla, I have a call with you coming up, so pretty excited for that. Hope you got value from this call. Yeah, a little bit of intro, a little bit of tactics on negotiating. Remember, negotiations is key. You don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate for. Questions, comments, critiques, or concerns? You guys are good? Awesome.
In the process of making a deal, you offer a price to the seller, and you inch towards closing it, and then when to use the inspection, right? I mean, when to play the inspection card.
That's a good question. So you could put that in the offer. Those are kind of the concessions we talked about. You can put, hey, I want a satisfactory inspection, right? Subject to satisfactory inspection. Make sure that you put satisfactory inspection, right? I've had people in the past just put an inspection and then something comes up and then it doesn't, like the deal is going to cost a lot more. Let's say they figure out that, AC has to be replaced. And they're like, okay, well now it's going to cost, 34, maybe even $5,000 more. Well, because they put in inspection only, even if it came back unsatisfactory, that condition is removed now because they had an inspection, right? So that means now, even if the inspection didn't go as what we wanted to, even if it's not satisfactory, because you did not put satisfactory inspection, then you still have to move forward with the deal. So that's why that's important. Same thing with financing, right? Like I always tell students, especially when they're new, like I've done deals where I put no inspection, sight unseen, and I don't need financing. But that's because I know how to do that, and I have a little bit of higher risk because I've been doing this a little bit longer. For new people, I always say, hey, put satisfactory financing, satisfactory inspection. Just so, hey, if they're one of my students, we can go there, check it out, see, we can do an inspection. And that inspection doesn't have to be done with an inspector. It can be done with anyone that you bring in. Sometimes I'll actually even bring in a contractor that I'm going to work with. Like I know I'm working with this contractor. Like, hey, let's come in, let's do an inspection. They can give me a quote on the renovations right away. And then now I'm even more prepared when I take possession of the house.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah, thanks for that.
Awesome. Does that help at all?
Yeah, it does. It answers my questions.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome, man. Cool. Anyone else? Questions, comments, critiques, or concerns? We got some people here on Instagram too. If you guys have questions, comments, critiques, or concerns, put that in there. Cool. I guess we are good. Cool. So I think there's a couple new people in here. There's a couple new people in here. If you guys are interested, we do have a special promo. This is going to be for the full-on lifetime real estate coaching. It's usually $11,025 after taxes. We do have a special promo just this week. So if you're thinking about it, you're like, hey, I actually want to get lifetime access. It's not one of those programs where you buy in and you got to pay every single year. It's full lifetime access into the group. You get about a year access to myself as a one-on-one coach. And not only that, you'll also get the complimentary bonus of the self-directed course. So that way, like today we're learning negotiations, but if you're in the course and you're like, oh, I want to learn about flipping. Well, instead of you waiting for when we do the flipping section, you can jump into the self-directed course, learn flipping, ask me, we jump onto a one-on-one, and we can really focus on that if that's what you want. So instead of being the total 11,025, we have a special promo just this week. That's going to be 9,800 for a lifetime. Awesome discount there. And then, yeah, if you're interested, there's a link in the comment section there, or you just DM me and we can kind of figure that out. But yeah, that's the promo of the week. If you guys know anyone interested, that's awesome as well. And if you're married, of course, if you have a partner, I always put you guys together because I know there has to be alignment, especially with the people that I coach that are married, or even if you have like a business partner or something. It doesn't make sense that one partner is getting coaching and the other person isn't. We want to make sure you're aware of what's going on together. Cool. That's about it. If you guys have final questions, comments, critiques, or concerns, is that you, Jeff?
Oh, is that me?
Oh, question?
No question. Sorry, I'm getting incoming call.
Hey, no worries, no worries. Awesome. Okay, good stuff. Hope you guys learned something new. Hope you guys start seeing the benefit of negotiating. Again, homework for the week is try to negotiate everything, right? Whether you're at Home Depot, you're at McDonald's, you're at somewhere else, I don't know, you get like Tim's or something, ask for a discount. Like, it sounds weird. It only sounds weird because culturally, Canadians are the worst negotiators on the planet. It's because we're too nice, right? The goal is to not be necessarily nice. You want to be kind, right? That's like the whole debate of being a good person and a nice person. A good person understands that, hey, it's important to be good, but if there's a line or a boundary crossed, well, then it's not helping anyone if we let people walk over us. Same thing with the negotiation, right? So try negotiating, right? I always say, worst case scenario, if you try to ask for a discount, the worst thing they could do is tell someone to F off. Like, that's the worst thing to do. They can't hit you. They shouldn't. So you do get hit. It's not my fault. Cool. Hope you guys have value out of that. Happy Tuesday. Looking forward to some one-on-one calls with Hilario. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.
Hey, if you have some questions, some insights, things that you're learning, drop a comment and we'd love to read all those comments, see how we can help you, see what you've been learning.